So hello everyone and welcome to another video from the channel Simon Retraction. As you can see, this door seems kinda large. And everybody would say that this ain't possible without flying machines. There's no way. But I did it. I did it without flying machines. And today we'll be explaining how. So first of all, as you can see, this gigantic mess of redstone lines, observers, and pistons is the thing that is allowing me to build this without flying machines. And they are basically gigantic piston extenders, which I use. And we're going to take a look at how did this work out just a tiny bit later. Alright, so first of all, the door is not seamless, especially on this side. It's really ugly. But on this side it is a little less ugly. These pistons are necessary and we will find out why later. So, first things first, what we have to understand is that the design is a repeating algorithm, which means that I basically just do one thing and then I make it again and again and again and again until I make the entire door. It's basically something that you can do again and again forever, which means that this door could be like a 200 by 200 without flying machines, but I'm limited by lag, because this already drags me down to 3 FPS. So first, let's take a look at this. This is a very small example, but it will do because, as I said, the design is a repeating algorithm. It is a 3 by 9 piston door built with the same algorithm as that. So, let's take a look at it. First, we can see this part over here, which is called the splitters. You can see that when the door is in one piece, like this, and we try to activate it, nothing happens. Because there's way too many blocks in front of the piston extender that is actually controlling all of this. So that is not going to be a viable option. So what we do is we basically activate this line, and what happens is that this observer gets updated, then this observer gets updated, then this observer gets updated, and then this one gets updated. And as you can see, the door now got split into multiple segments. And then, of course, the piston extender fires, pushing the segmented door into place. And then it turns into one door again because it crashes into immovable objects which aren't allowing it to keep in the segmented form. And then for the retraction, it's gonna be segmented automatically because all we have to do is retract the piston extender. All the different modules will just detect that they are being moved, and they will retract the modules before them to close up the entire door. Oh god, this is gonna be hell broken. Alright, so now let's take a look at it in full motion. As you can see, this is exactly what happens. The door gets split into segments and then the piston extender pushes it into place. And on the opening, once again, what happens is only the piston extender retracts. That's the only thing that happens, and the door will get nicely pulled into the wall. But now, if we want to make a vertically larger door than 3 blocks, we're going to have to get a little bit of a more complicated algorithm. But it's basically the same thing still. For the more complicated algorithm, I have this example here, the 8x8 piston door, also built on the same logic as the 20x20. As you can see, what is done is there are multiple of these modules on top of each other, but they have to be 1 block offset to not stick to each other, because we would surpass the push limit if we were to stick them together with slime. That's not something we want to do. But as you can see, this is all something that just happens the same way as that happens. But one important thing to know is that all these extenders have to fire at exactly the same time for these things to not get stuck together. Now, as we can see, there are the splitters as well, and the extenders work the same way as well. So this is basically just multiple of these doors on top of each other, and they're all 1 block offset. And also over here, you're gonna see this, which is, of course, for this middle thing. As you can see, there are no blocks here, which is a problem, because then the door isn't full. So what we do is we basically just extend those blocks from the outer wall, like that. And also this piston is there to stop the center thing, the one that's 1 block offset. It needs a stopper as all the other ones, because of the immovable object thing I talked about over here. And as an extended piston is an immovable object, we can use it to stop the thing. And then it also retracts, so it's nicely hidden in the wall, and we can walk through without it sticking out. Because if we were to put obsidian there, we would have to put it like this. And as obsidian is immovable, we can in fact not move it. We cannot move it, so we are using a piston, because that can be extended into the wall, and then, extended out of the wall and then retracted back in. So this is basically this, but stacked on top of each other. Just multiple of these stacked on top of each other. That's what I was trying to say. And when we look at the 20x20, we can see that everything is basically the same. There are multiple layers stacked on top of each other. There are splitters, which are just longer because we are using a longer door. And then there are extenders, which are much longer because we are once again making a bigger door, a longer door. So we have to extend the extenders. But this is an infinitely expandable design, which means that we can make use of it for any size of door built with this algorithm. Also, you can see that there are the stopping pistons and the blocks that fill in. This is basically the 8x8, but once again, everything is just repeated tens of times. And also, as you can see, it definitely does lag me. The door is I mean, it's only slightly laggy, guys. Don't worry about it. Look at this, it's fine. But yeah, some of you guys might think that these extenders are basically flying machines. And you would be almost right, because they work on a very similar concept like a flying machine. But there is one single problem. One singular problem. If we just go down here and make a simple flying machine, as you can see, I've just made a simple flying machine, but there is a difference between this and that. And the difference is that flying machines have an infinite flight range, and that's what makes them a flying machine. They just keep on flying forever if nothing stands in their path. I mean, they can push some things, but it's certainly not a lot that these suckers can push. And of course, they can just be stopped with a simple immovable object. But as you can see, if we were to put something like this here, the flying machine would still work. Which means that we can make an infinite piston extender out of a flying machine, basically. And we could push the door with a flying machine, and then stop it by an immovable object. But I chose to do a different thing. To make this flying machineless and achieve the world record, I instead used piston extenders, which work like this. But there is one difference between this and the flying machine, and it's that these extenders have a limited range. They cannot go forever unless you build them infinitely long, which is not possible, of course. But they just can go only for as long as you make them. So that is the difference between this and the flying machine. Which means that this door is in fact flying machineless, even though it uses a mostly flying machine-like algorithm. Even over here we can see the flying machine sort of thing, which with observers, slime, and sticky pistons. But once again, it's not a flying machine because it's not powered by a flying machine. It's powered by piston extenders that have limited range. So this is an infinitely expandable design of a piston door. If I really wanted to, I could make like a 200 by 200, but as I already said, this gets me down to like 5 to 3 FPS, so I don't think I will be doing that. Just imagine how laggy would be a 200 by 200 piston door. But theoretically, you could make as big of a door as you wish without flying machines. So that's it for today's explanation. I hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.